Hey everybody, we're going to go down to Peru today, look at an ancient site that there's really no documentation on YouTube. And when I made the video on Peru a couple weeks ago, I made a list of about 10, 12 sites that look pretty cool. I was also asked a question, what are all these place markers right out here? Well, those are the geometrical Amazon ruins. I documented, I don't know, maybe about 3, 4 dozen of those. I like being thorough. That's why I document all the places in ancient America. Over 100 Chinese pyramids, over 4 dozen Mayan pyramid sites, all those places in Turkey. I just like being thorough, but we're going to go down today to a place that I had never heard of, and it just looked very cool to me. This is called Yayno, or Yaino, Peru, and it's right down here. Here is the mountaintop site of Yayno, Peru. This has some pretty unique stonework, and that's what really caught my eye. I went to YouTube to look what other people were saying about this place, and there's really not much on YouTube at all or anything. But here you get a view. This is over 13,000 feet high. I think Machu Picchu's only 7,500 feet high. This is over 13,000 feet. Would have given you a great view of the surrounding valleys and really all around here, but this is kind of called a mountaintop fortress. But let's take a look at the stonework down here. It's pretty unique. Here is a look at Yayno, Peru. The ruins, they seem to stretch for quite a ways up here. You can see them really good on Google Earth. This is over 13,000 feet, which equates to about 4,000 meters high. So pretty impressive feat building up here with large megalithic stones at that altitude. I'm pretty familiar with what it feels like to be at 10,000 feet. 13,000 feet is a whole different deal, but here you see one person sitting in front of this block. That is a megalithic block, maybe, I don't know, 5, 10 tons. And then this whole wall is built with megalithic blocks, and they are up in the construction too, with the smaller blocks in between it. Has anybody ever seen similar stonework? But that really caught my eye. That is a good look at the ruins at Yayno, Peru, at least this one building here. Here is another look at the stonework. These large megalithic blocks intermingled with the smaller, flatter stones. That is pretty unique. And that is quite the feat of engineering, doing that at the top of a mountain over 13,000 feet. The first thing I thought of when I looked at these ruins was the ancient site of Kulap in Peru. But you notice here, all these stones appear to be different color. Are they symbolic? Or are they just building a huge fortress up here for defense fortifications? I wonder. But give me your best guess on how many tons that stone weighs. I know you have to kind of assume how far back it goes, but just give me your best guess on the weight of that one right there. I will leave a few links below. Not much written on this place, not many pics, but it says along the northern slope of Mount Pañahirka was the fortified city of Yaynu, the home of the ancient people called the Reque culture. This gigantic stone construction or fortress was in the highlands of Peru, in the central Andean mountains. It says the mountains at Yaynu are resolutely covered in clouds with a 360-degree panoramic view of the entire area. It says the Recuay or Reque culture flourished from 200 BC to 600 AD, and they are the ones responsible for these ruins. That is just another ancient culture in Peru. A little older than the Inca, and I don't see any of the super ancient mysterious stonework here that I see at Sacsayhuaman or Machu Picchu. But why were they building with megalithic stonework at the top of this mountain? That is a good question to ask. Here is the article I'm sharing. 800 years this culture flourished. They compared it to the moche culture, the Chavin culture, the Viru culture. So many cultures in this part of the world spanning a lot of history. It says their textiles were very high quality and used similar decorative motifs as the ceramics of those of the Pucara and the Tiwanaku cultures, and found throughout the Peruvian highlands. And there is the gate leading out of this complex here. The standard line on this place, it's about 2,200 years old. Could it be built on top of something more ancient? That is entirely possible, and some of these places weren't considered important unless they were built on something more ancient. It says this entire area, including Yaynu, had advanced metallurgy, and they made very fine Recuay-style jewelry of gilt arsenic bronze. It says the Recuay hilltop settlement is considered the most important evidence of their culture in the Ancash region, and this is the largest settlement from the Recuay culture, and it's built on top of a mountain over 13,000 feet high. Here is one artifact coming from the Recuay culture. What does this represent? But I find it very interesting. They compare some of the styles to the Tiwanaku culture in Bolivia. But here, what does this represent? This dude has 3-4 toes, something over his head. Could it be aliens? Well, getting back a little more into reality, they think this represents musicians. I can see where they think that, but could this be a shaman ingesting something? I don't know. Just my thoughts. Here is another artifact. They call this a vessel, and they say it represents a palace or a temple. Some imagery on the front there, a bird up on top, all very cool. It also says, in addition, archaeologists have found that Yaynu, besides having pyramidal construction of public buildings such as temples, palaces, etc., included numerous private housing, showing a high degree of social interaction, and highlights a general autonomy of households as units of economic production and social reproduction. So that's kind of a mouthful, but that is what is written on this place. Very interesting site here. Not a long video today on this site, just not a lot written, not many videos. There's all sorts of videos on ancient Kulap, that mountaintop fortress, but this place, just not much at all, if anything. But I learned a lot today, learned about a new culture, or at least one that I've only mentioned, I think, one time, the Reque culture. But there is stone ruins on top of this 13,000-foot mountain that are fairly unique to ancient Peru, I think, unless you can come up with something that's similar. But that is a video coming from the mountains of Peru. Hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.